Great. Well, I might have missed one or two. Does anyone want to introduce themselves that I've missed it? No, we're all good. Great. Okay. Well, today we're looking at week 3 of the facilitating online learning course, and a bit of a recap and look at what we're after in week 3. And of course, the end of this week, the first part of assignment 1 is due as well. So we'll sort of have a look at what's required for that too. So welcome everyone, great to have, I think we've got 16 out of our 19 students on board today, so that's great. Let me just go into screen sharing and we'll have a look at the actual course. So if you want to pull up on your own screens the actual canvas, then you can sort of follow along as we go. Okay, so into the EDUC 90970, fantastically named course on Canvas. And what I've been doing is using that as the hashtag for any social media that people are sharing via the course as well. So for people like Lyle who haven't signed up to Twitter yet, when you do sign up to Twitter, you'll see there's actually a reasonable amount of information using that hashtag. And I think it'll be quite useful for people to actually use that as a medium. At least give it a try for the course. Twitter may not be for you, but give it a try and see what you think. And I think it's quite a powerful way of creating an online community. So here's some of the announcements. I try to sort of give you regular updates. So there was the invitation to the Flipboard magazine. So people have had a little bit of problems getting some of those links working into the magazine. Really, we wanted to use it as a way of sharing your e-portfolios, because what we're doing in this course is you're creating your own e-portfolio, and then you're inviting the rest of the class and myself into that e-portfolio to comment, to give you feedback. So it's your space that you're creating rather than a space that I'm creating for you. And hopefully it's something that will be useful for you to continue with beyond this course, something you can keep building as a resource, as a portfolio, as a showcase of your work. And it may be a process, a concept that you could use with your own students as well, particularly third-year students or students that are about to graduate. Having a professional portfolio is a great way for them to get jobs, whether it be on LinkedIn or WordPress or whatever is appropriate for their context, or even multiple online portfolios. So that's the Flipboard magazine. If I just quickly go into looking at my iPad, part of the reason why I like Flipboard is the very graphical nature that it has. So it turns it into like a magazine. So this is what it looks like on the iPad. It's very similar on the iPhone, just a little bit smaller, obviously. But it tries to pull in the graphical content, gives you a quick look at what's new in whatever sites that you've subscribed to, and you can create your own magazine. So that magazine there, iOS Musicians, is actually a magazine that I've created. So as part of the course, we have created and shared the #EDUC 90970 magazine, the Flipboard magazine. And it's in this magazine that we're trying to get everyone to share their e-portfolios so we can find them all in one place. And you can see a few people have managed to do it so far. Daniel, Chelsea, Paula, Sam, Lyle, and 3 others. I'd have to look up exactly who's the other 3 others are. And then once you've managed to sign up on Flipboard via the email that was sent to you, you need to verify your email because they want to make sure you're not a bot, that you're actually a real human. You should then be able to add content into this shared magazine. So you can see Chelsea's shared her e-portfolio, Leah. I've shared an example of a Spark presentation that I've created, etc. and you can share other content beyond your e-portfolio, beyond your blog, basically anything that's on the internet that has an RSS feed, so YouTube videos, etc. You can see I've shared the Google map there as well. And then you can quickly click on the links. It should take you to whatever the page is, and obviously see what the updates are. So here's Chelsea's visitor and resident map, which we went over last week. Great to see that she's created one and shared one. I like the comment. I've been feeling a bit more like a visitor than a resident, but my map tells a slightly different story. So do you want to comment on that, Chelsea?
Yeah, sure. It was actually quite quick and easy to do, although I wasn't able to save the link. It just kept giving me an error message. That's why I had to post a screenshot. So I had to do it a couple of times. So I got to really understand where I was sitting with all those things. But what I found interesting most of all, and I used yours as a bit of a model too, Tom, was just how many platforms and apps and programs, things that I'm interacting with on a daily or weekly basis. That was quite surprising.
Yeah, so I think it's a really useful exercise just to, even just for yourself as a reflection on what do you use and how to use it. And so, you know, I know for myself, my visitor and resident map, I wouldn't be able to fit on it, all the stuff I use, but it's focusing on the things that perhaps are relevant to what we're looking at. So great, yeah. So hopefully you'll get some comments on that. So let's just head back here, back to the course. Oh, let me show you, there are other alternatives to Flipboard if it's not working for you. The Flipboard magazine is one that I've created and shared with everyone, but if you want to create your own feed of all the other students' blogs, etc., you can use other tools. So this is one called NetNewsWire. If I just go to the App Store and search for it. You can see it there. It's it's actually free. A free app for the iPad. There are different tools available for different platforms. I think NetNewsWire might be iOS only. I can't remember. It's just one I've used for many years, and I like the way it looks. So there are other alternatives. If you have lots and lots of students or lots and lots of feeds, then something like FeedReader or Feedly. Feedly has an app as well. FeedReader is web-based only. So NetNewsWire, just to show you the difference between something like a more traditional RSS reader like NetNewsWire and Flipboard. You can see I've subscribed to all of your blogs, and you can see there's actually, because one of the things I like about WordPress is it has two feeds. So an RSS feed from your posts. So down the bottom you can see the actual feeds for each of your WordPress sites, and up the top, because it's just done alphabetically, you can see the feeds for the comments. So I can quickly scroll through this and see, well, there's 3 comments on Paula's blog, and it gives me a quick overview. I go, okay, that's interesting. Let's see what's the latest one. If I click on it, it gives me an outline. And it just happens to be a post that I did early this morning. Go and have a look at some of the other ones. So you can get to see a bit of the conversation that's going on. And if I actually go to Paula's blog itself, it gives me a very quick overview of what's new that I haven't read yet, at least not on NetNewsWire. And here's the posts. So there's the introduction video, and there's Paula's post on communities of inquiry. So it's quite a different sort of a concept to Flipboard. I think Flipboard's a little bit easier, but it does seem its vagaries in the sign-up process, and I'm not quite sure why it's working for some people, not others. But as I say, there's alternatives if you want to explore those.
Can I ask a question? Do we need to manually add everyone in if we go the NetNewsWire
Yes.
direction? Yeah, so we have to
Yeah,
find them.
unless you know someone decides like Lyle, just you know, if someone decides that they'd like to create, you know, curate all the feeds for the rest of the class and then share that, then you can just grab that from someone else. But it is a manual process. So the sign up process is a manual process, but you only have to do that once, and then you've got it for the length of however long, you know, you're wanting to view those blogs, etc. So back to the course. So a summary of week 1 and week 2, just to very quickly for those people who kind of new on board. Some of the activities that we've done in week 1, there was the introductory video, a 1-minute video, and quite a few of those have been posted to the discussion forum, which is great, but there's a few there that people need to do. Set up your e-portfolio. That's a core tool for this course, and is pretty much what you need for assignment 1, which is broken up into 4 parts. So you need to set up your e-portfolio. There is the collaborative map, just to give us a bit of an idea of where people are from. So let's have a look. Here's the Google map. You can see there's about 9 people that have put themselves on the map. So just encourage other people who haven't to do that. You should have all got an invite via email to co-edit this map. If you've lost that, or you need it via a different email address, say your Gmail, then just email that to me and I can add you into this map. It's just a quick, nice way of getting an overview of the participants and where they're from, and you can add media into those points as well if you like, as you see I've done there. So it's just quite a nice way of getting an overview of the participants in a more graphical form. So that's the Google map. And then of course, because the portfolios are yours, the only way that we can interact with those is if you share the links to those. So that's the idea of Flipboard. There are alternative ways to share your link if that's not working for you. Put it into your Canvas profile, or just post the link into the discussion forum so that other participants can view your post and give you feedback. So effectively what we're trying to do with these e-portfolios is create this authentic community of inquiry. And I think it's a much more authentic way of doing that than just having a discussion forum that I've set up on Canvas, and that is moderated by me as the teacher. So really what we're trying to do is establish this concept of a community. And one way of sharing that is via Twitter. Of course, you need to sign up for Twitter to be able to share via Twitter using that hashtag. And once you're on Twitter, and you can search via the hashtag. So you can see here, I've searched for the hashtag here. I've just preloaded this. I just refresh that. It does push the occasional ad at you because we're using it for free, so they need to get their money back somehow. You can see Paula is the latest person to post. Finding it hard to keep a blog post under 400 words. So 400 words is just kind of like a guideline. They don't have to be exactly 400 words or less. They can be longer. But you can see I'm sharing quite a lot of stuff here on Twitter. So if you haven't signed up for Twitter, if you're not following the hashtag, then you might be missing out on some of the conversation that's going on here. It'd be great to have a bit more happening around that. So you can link Twitter to your WordPress portfolios. So maybe we'll have a quick look at that. And what I've done is I've enabled the people's module, so that you can see everyone's portfolios, or at least their Canvas profiles. And I'm encouraging you all to have a icon, so it gives a bit of a face to who you are rather than the blank icon, which kind of a bit depersonalizing really. So it'd be great if the people that don't have a photo on their Canvas profile, if you could add a photo. It just helps me as well to get to know you put a face to the person. So an easy way to share your portfolio, one is in Flipboard, another way is to put it into, say we'll just pick on Lyle here, your profile in Canvas. So Lyle's put in a very succinct bio there. And then you have the option of putting links. And so there's a link there to Lyle's WordPress site. If I click on that, I can go straight to his blog, I can read his blog, and I can comment. So with only 19 people in the course, it's not too much of a problem to do this manually. If you can't get Flipboard working or another RSS reader, just go to the people site, click on each of the members, go to their WordPress blogs, read what they've been up to, and do some comments. So Lyle did a bit of a tutorial on how to get Flipboard working, which is great. And then I liked it and gave him a comment. So there's a comment there, and Jeanette's given some feedback as well, which is fantastic. So there's the conversation happening there. So that's the idea, that it's not just, you know, this sort of lonely existence or a depersonalized discussion forum. Hopefully we're actually getting a bit of a community and a bit of conversation going. Any comments on that, Lyle?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Tom, is there a process? I know you can follow someone's WordPress site, because I think I've clicked that on Paula's. Does that give you, like, does that prompt you with things when, if you follow each other's WordPress site, when there's a new post and things like that via email? Is that a good thing to do?
Yeah. So that's another way of doing it as well. Is obviously you can only follow blogs if you've signed up to WordPress. So you've got a WordPress account, and when you sign up to WordPress, you sign up via a specific email address. So when you follow a blog, what will happen is whenever there's a new post on that blog, that will email you a message saying Paul has made a new post. It will go to the email address that you use to sign up for WordPress, and you get notified. So then you can quickly click on that and go, okay, that's a fantastic, you know, post. I've read it, and give some feedback. So yes, there's the follow function is kind of the reading function that's built into WordPress.
Right.
Thomas, it's Lyle. I had my mute on before when you asked me to comment. By showing my portfolio, you solved a problem I had, and that is that I couldn't see my enrolled courses. And so I thought I had deleted it, but it turns out that when I edit my portfolio, I can't see them myself, but presumably you can. So that's interesting.
So in the people section, you can't see that?
Yeah, if I go to my own, I mean, I won't probably be sharing my screen, but if I go account and then profile,
right.
It just has my biography and the links, whereas when you showed it on your screen, it had the biography and then the enrolled subjects was there as well.
Right.
And I noticed everybody else has had that, and so I thought I had deleted it. But,
yeah, I think different views show different information. So that's one of the curious things about Canvas.
Yeah.
And it's also a little bit curious as well that on the mobile version, it shows you different content to the web version. So I can see people's email addresses in the mobile version, but I can't on the web version. It's kind of a bit weird, but anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was commenting on last week when you had it going on your iPad. It seemed to offer a bit more information, some things than others.
Yeah,
so
I don't know why. I guess that's just what they've done, but anyway. So there was oh yes, that's right. That was the question of how do we link your blog to Twitter. So let me just use mine as an example because I can't actually edit anyone else's. So here's my blog, and probably don't take mine as an example as far as the aesthetic goes because I'm a bit lazy. I haven't really, made it too flash. For me, it's just I've had it for a long time, but I keep it pretty straight. So once you've logged into WordPress, you can tell you've logged in because your little icon comes up here and you have your gravatar, which is basically your online bio that WordPress uses. You get this menu bar across the top. So this is your editing menu bar. And if I go into my sites, what I want to do is go to my dashboard, what WordPress calls my dashboard. Because I have a lot of WordPress sites, I have to make sure I'm editing the actual correct WordPress site. So this is for my Exploring Educational Technology site. And what we want to do, it's the sharing settings. So I think if we just go, I'm going to remember where it is now. Customize. No, that's to set up the widgets. I can't remember where it is now. It's one of the settings that you set up basically where you, it's called marketing. That's right. It used to be called sharing. So there they are. They keep changing the interface. That's what confused me. So it used to be called sharing, but it's now called marketing. I guess they're, obviously trying to sell their product in some way, and so a bit more business speak. But click on the marketing tool once you're in your dashboard for editing your site. So there we go, marketing. And if we click on connections, there's several social media connections that you can directly link to your WordPress site very quickly. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr. So I have connected my Twitter account and I've connected my LinkedIn account. I choose not to connect my Facebook account or my Tumblr. So basically when you click on connect, it'll ask you to log into Facebook or log into your Twitter account. You need to put your username and password in there, and it does a handshake. And then you'll probably get an email from Twitter saying someone has logged into your account. Was this you? It's just a security setting to make sure it was you and not someone else. And it'll basically say, ignore this if it was you, or if it wasn't you, then you better change your password because someone's hacking your account. So this is where you link your Twitter account, your LinkedIn account to your WordPress account. And what that basically means is every time you do a post, you can choose to auto tweet or auto post to LinkedIn a summary of your post. So it's a great way of very quickly, without having to do any work except the initial setup, advertising what you're doing. It's kind of like broadcasting, announcing, amplifying your work beyond just one site. So if I wrote a new post, and put something in here, then on the right hand side you can see the publish settings for this particular post. So the categories, by default it's always uncategorized, so I want to untick that because that just sounds a bit lame, and give it a actual category. So it could be, well, whatever. I'm going to choose I've made a category, pre-made a category for the course hashtag. So I'm going to tick that and say it's something to do with the course. So I've done my categories. Do I actually untick the, oops, no, I didn't untick that one. Under the sharing, I can turn on the sharing for Twitter and LinkedIn. You might have to do that for the first time because I've linked those two accounts to my WordPress. Then when I send this post out, it'll auto tweet it and auto send it to LinkedIn. And then when I click publish, it does a handshake between those two. What goes out to Twitter in particular is actually the title. So this is what will go out via Twitter, and then a link to the actual post. So you want to be a little bit intelligent about the titles that you use if you are intending to auto tweet or send to LinkedIn, because that's what people will see. So normally what I would do is, if it's something to do with the course, I would actually put the hashtag in the title. I'd normally start with that, and then I'd say something about what is the post. Say week 3 update, testing the Twitter link. Thankfully it has auto shaping, okay. And then when I click publish, you get the choice of publishing immediately, or you can actually schedule. Anyway, probably shouldn't talk too much about that in case you cheat on your assignments. Anyway, so publish, and then it publishes. And if I go and visit the site, there's my fantastic post, which is very, very informative. And if I go and check my Twitter feed now, there is an automatic tweet that's gone out, very informative. And if people clicked on that link on Twitter, it'll take them to my blog post. So it's just a little bit of a setup, but once you've done the setup, your life becomes a whole lot easier. If you're wanting to broadcast, if you're wanting to amplify what you're doing in your blog, then linking it to Twitter and LinkedIn is a great way to do it. Obviously, then you want to make sure that whatever you're posting is relevant to those communities. So hopefully that makes sense. So going back to week 3, it's kind of a brief summary of weeks 1 and 2 activity. Week 3, we're really looking at, if we go to the modules, and go down to week 3, we're looking at the Scholarship of Technology Enhanced Learning and learning theories. So you can see in week 3, I've got some notes there for you. One of the things I wanted everyone to set up was join a shared collaborative Mendeley library. So basically using Mendeley as a shared literature review. If you come across any references that you think are really relevant to the course that you'd like to share with anyone else in the course, share them via Mendeley. If you've found the PDFs to any of the documents, then you could share those in the Mendeley library as well. There is another survey. So this week's survey is talking about the Scholarship of Technology Enhanced Learning, just to get you thinking around some of the concepts. And then the next biggie is that in weeks 5 and 6, I want you guys to do a bit more of the work than me, and do some more of the talking than me talking all the time, because that's really, really boring. And I want you to do some short presentations. So there is a table. And this page is available for you to edit. So you can see I'm in the student view. It gives me an edit button. If I click on the edit, then I can edit that table and put my name into one of those fields. So basically it's first in, first served. So you can see 4 people have chosen topics already. Chelsea's chosen cognitive load. Lyle's chosen behaviorism. Paula, authentic learning. Sam, problem-based learning. So I tried to break these up into week 5 is about learning theories, and week 6 is more about design frameworks, which really is kind of applying learning theory. So I've got 6 topics for each week. Have I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 12. And yeah, if you wanted to collaborate on any of those, then you could, I'm happy for people to do this in pairs, obviously because there's not enough there for all 19. I did actually set this up when there was only 12 people enrolled in the course, so I haven't put 19 topics. But I'm just kind of thinking, as I'm talking, that because there is only 12, then there may be some that people would like to collaborate on and have 2 presenters co-presenting. So the topics that I've suggested are social constructivism, connectivism, social cultural theory, cognitive load theory, behaviorism, and constructivism as far as learning theories go. You may or may not have heard of those. If you have, or if something really sounds like it might be interesting to you, then choose it as your topic. And then various frameworks. So the idea really is that on week 5, it's going to be these 6 topics being presented by you as an 8-minute presentation. It gives us a couple of minutes to have some feedback, ask some questions, and then the next presentation. And I'd like you to do an online presentation. So that's why there's a presentation link column there. So it could be a slide share, it could be Adobe Spark, it could be PowerPoint uploaded to Google, so that's actually available online. But whatever your presentation is, it needs to be available online so other people can see it and give you feedback as well. So that's coming up in weeks 5 and 6.
So Tom, can I just ask a question there? So are we meant to be pre-recording and uploading a complete presentation?
No, this would just be your presentation media, whatever that may be.
Okay, thanks.
Slides, I'm a little bit reticent to use the term slides because then that pushes people towards PowerPoint. I'm, as you probably getting to know, I'm not much of a PowerPoint fan. I think it's a bit too teacher directive.
Are we supposed to upload it to YouTube platform like that? And
it needs to be online, so it could be, if you want to do it as a video, then pre-recorded video, then it could be YouTube. It could be, as I said, Adobe Spark, or it could be a slide share. It could be pretty much any form of presentation tool, but it does need to be an online link. And then your presentation is live. So the idea is that you actually present live via Zoom and screen share. Okay?
That's what I was gonna,
yeah. So the idea is that it's not, the presentation link is not a pre-recorded link. It's a link to your notes. Okay. And then on week 5, we'll have our Zoom session, and the 6 people or groups will be presenting these 6 topics live via Zoom and screen sharing, and we'll be giving people feedback. And then in week 6, we'll be doing the other topics. That makes sense? Okie dokie. Lyle's looking very confused.
Yeah, scratching my head. I was just thinking, do I, jump in at the deep end and use Adobe Spark or something like that, or?
You've got a couple of weeks to have a bit of a play and see what you want to do. But if you haven't used Adobe Spark before, it is actually quite simple. It's a lot more graphical based than PowerPoint, a lot more based around imagery. It's partly why I like it. So let's just go back. So this week, these are the activities that I've suggested you do. Is join our collaborative Mendeley library, do the SOTEL survey. If you haven't done the last week's survey, then do last week's survey. Choose a topic and start working on a topic as a learning theory or learning framework. So we have got a week in between. It gives you a couple of weeks for the first lot of presentations to get ready, and an extra week for the week 6 ones. So just going back to Mendeley, why have I suggested we use Mendeley? Well, part of the reason I've used Mendeley for a number of years, but the University of Melbourne actually subscribes to an institutional edition of Mendeley. And so you get 100 gigabyte of shared storage on Mendeley, on their cloud server, and you can create unlimited groups with up to 100 collaborators. And this is a great way, if you're wanting to get students to actually create an annotated shared library of references, a great way to do it. So I'm just jumping here to Mendeley, mendeley.com. It's a great tool that you can use to be part of your professional research e-portfolio, to share your publications, get feedback on them, get an idea of how many people are downloading them, reading them, etc. If I have a quick look at my own site, it's one of the e-portfolio tools that I link into my OrcID as the main research hub that I have. It gives you an H-index, it gives you citations. This is for only one database, of course. So it's not going to be your complete works, because it does only link into, I think it's Scopus directly. So you can have a full profile on here if you like. It gives you, you can link to some of your other profiles. It shows you the groups that you've set up. You can follow other co-authors, etc. It pulls those out of stuff that you've shared. So it's kind of a bit like ResearchGate. It's kind of creating a bit of a research community. It's just another tool. But beyond that, it's also like EndNote. It's a reference tool as well. So if I go back to the group, you should have all got an invitation via email to join the group. If you've lost that or missed that, just email me and ask for another update. So with a Mendeley group, you can, obviously give a bit of background. What is the group for? It has a bit of a updates showing you who's done what, who's added stuff. So you can see I've added a few references there to start with, but I didn't want it to be all about me. Paul has added a couple there, which is great. We can look at the members. So once again, it's the idea of creating this community that's co-creating, that's sharing. Once again, you can add a photo to your profile, so it's a little bit easier to see who's who. The infamous Lyle there. Hope you
Have I disappeared? No, there was a picture of me there.
Was there? Oh, okay. Yeah. Sometimes it takes a while for them to filter through the internet.
I got so sick of trying to find a good photo that each time I create a new login, I just take one.
Yeah, I tend to do that as well.
So some of them are pretty rough.
It's okay.
But there definitely is one there.
Okay. Yeah, it can sometimes take a few hours for some reason just to promulgate through the internet. So great to see we've got a few people signed up there already. And then basically we have a shared document library. So this is what we're co-creating. So you can add documents to this. Was there a question there?
Yes. And if we have, because we have much public profile as an academic, and if I don't want these learning activities to be confused with my public profile, how can I make a discrimination between these two identities? So now I'm trying to use another name, Andrea Online Learning. So I mean, if people search my name in Google, I don't want them to find out all these learning activities under my name.
Yes, so you can create different profiles on the internet via signing up with a different email address. So I have, I don't know how many, 5 or 6 email addresses I sign up to, and you filter it that way. So I have obviously my University of Melbourne email address, I have my Gmail address, so I have different profiles for different tools. I guess my recommendation around anything that you sign up for on the internet is that use it professionally, unless it's obvious that you're using it socially, and that's where things like Facebook come in. That's a social platform, and people understand that. But yeah, just sort of think about what do you want to share, what sort of profile are you trying to present to other people, and just be very aware of that. So yes, if you want to have different profiles on the internet, it's easy to do. You just use a different email address and create it around that.
I'm interested in this idea of sharing libraries, and I can see how it's happening in this group, but I'm just thinking with other research groups that this is a good way to kind of post an article that you've seen just released and share it within. Is that kind of how people use it? Is that the idea of this library sharing?
I think just like any tool, you can use it however you want. It's you know, if you think this is a great way of using a tool, then use it. But yeah, that would certainly be my suggestion. Would be if you've got a research group, a research project, you know, a research cluster, then Mendeley is a great way of creating that shared annotated library, and it's certainly one of the easiest tools to be able to do that. So I use ResearchGate a lot.
What do you mean by annotated?
Well, it's comments. So you can comment on here and say, I found this really useful. It explained community inquiry.
Right.
Don't bother reading this one. It was rubbish.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. So yeah, the annotated thing is really just around adding comments to this information that's relevant to the rest of the group. You know, if you've got a great insight and say, this is the best reference you should read on community inquiry, I recommend this one.
Thanks.
So that's the idea. I'd be really keen to see people start sort of adding to this. And once again, I don't want it just to be about me. I want it to be about the group. So please add stuff to it and comment. I'm probably not going to add a whole lot more there myself because I've done all my additions and stuff in Canvas. So you can like, you can comment, you can reshare it. So another reason to use Mendeley, let me just quickly show you. This is the Mendeley desktop tool. If you've used EndNote, which I'm assuming you probably have, this is EndNote. You'll see it's very similar to the EndNote bibliographical reference tool. And in fact, it has plugins for Microsoft Word, just like EndNote does, so that you can use it to automatically create your reference bibliographies at the end of a document, just as you do with EndNote. You can use Mendeley to do that. And you might find that Mendeley fits how you work better than in EndNote. And I certainly find that Mendeley syncs much better between my devices and online than EndNote does. When I try syncing and sharing my EndNote libraries, I end up with multiple copies all the time, which is just really painful. So I do use mainly EndNote just because I've used it for so many years. But if someone was starting out and wanting a really good reference tool, bibliography tool, I would recommend Mendeley. Yeah, you can create those collaborative groups, you can share, it syncs much better. The mobile app, I think, is much better than the EndNote one as well. But if you've, invested in a certain tool, you're probably going to stick with it. You can share between the two, obviously, as I've done by exporting and importing libraries between the two. So here's our group in Mendeley. I probably just need to resync that because it will pull in the latest article that Paul has put there. So in the EndNote, the Mendeley desktop software, which is a free download, and the app on your mobile device is a free download as well. You can curate all your libraries, etc. Was there a question about Mendeley there?
Just how you get it, but you've just answered that. Thanks.
Okay. So yeah, on your mobile device, just search in the App Store. You'll find it. On the desktop, I think I'm not sure if it's in the App Store for Apple, but it's a free download for pretty much every platform. So that's one of the key activities for this week, is setting up, joining, and adding to that shared Mendeley library. Is the survey on Scholarship of Technology Enhanced Learning, just a short 10-question survey, because I only use the free version. So there you go, very quick and easy. Just once again to get you thinking around some of the concepts. And I wanted very quickly just to go over a review of last week's survey, the post PowerPoint pedagogy one. If you haven't done the survey yet, it's still open. The link is in the announcements and the discussion forum. As you can see, a lot more people than this class have actually done this survey. So there's over 100 people from various workshops, etc., that I've run. And I just find it really interesting to see where academics are at from a whole variety of backgrounds. So the first question was, in what types of contexts do you teach? So it seems that predominantly people have answered this survey anyway, teach in small groups face-to-face. So obviously this was, I started the survey pre-COVID-19, so this, if I'd started from this point, there might have been a lot more fully online. And a significant amount of blended between online and face-to-face. Interesting to see how much around practical. I guess that's sort of more the arts, you know, chefing, etc., physiotherapy, all those types of courses that are much more practical based, clinical, etc. So I always find it interesting to see the types of tools that people use to facilitate their teaching, and I guess it's a no-brainer that just about everyone uses PowerPoint. I would have thought that was actually higher, actually 65% say that they use PowerPoint or Keynote, because that's just basically PowerPoint on a Mac as their key presentation tool. So what are people's main reasons for using something like PowerPoint? It focuses attention. I know how to use it. Students ask for it, and that's a biggie actually. So whenever you do your student evaluations, they say, where's the PowerPoint? And I want to download it because all the answers are on the PowerPoint. That's a bit sad, really. So a lot of these reasons are very pragmatic. You know, if you spent a significant amount of time invested in a certain tool, you're going to carry on with it. I'm not necessarily saying that those are actually good reasons. So what are the key disadvantages of using something like PowerPoint? Well, most people sort of picked up on it. It's very teacher-centric, or at least it tends to push you that way. You don't have to use it in that way, but that tends to be the way that people use it. The other disadvantage I find is this one here. If you're trying to put rich media into PowerPoint, it can be a pretty nasty experience. It does weird things, and when you're trying to share your PowerPoint, it doesn't share the files, etc. So most people seem to agree that it does reinforce a particular pedagogy. And then it's interesting that if we compare question 6 with question 2, is a presentation tool such as PowerPoint your main teaching tool, and then come down to what tools do you actually use. Instead of 65%, we have 80%. So I don't know whether people are answering the previous question actually based on what they do or not, because it doesn't line up with the answers to this question here. What I do find a little bit sad about this question here is huge predominance around something like PowerPoint and basically virtually nothing else, apart from a reasonable number of people use the LMS Live. Once again, it's very much a teacher-centric tool. So I guess it depends on what is the pedagogy you're trying to promote, what are you trying to model. Think about, do the tools that you're using actually mentor and model that approach? The other point of that question was hopefully to give you some ideas around other options that if you hadn't heard of, then you might want to investigate some of those. So what type of interactive and collaborative tools to use to create interaction? There's a fair bit of variety of there. But once again, you know, some of these I'd like to see, would have liked to have seen more of. But hopefully, once again, it's giving people suggestions to try out. So this is where we start trying to line this up to theory and frameworks. You know, what do people believe that they're basing their teaching on, and does it line up with how they actually teach? That's part of the reason for this question, is get people thinking. So if you are really, you know, want to model your teaching around social constructivism, are the tools that you're using actually promoting that? Does PowerPoint facilitate that? Well, I would argue probably not very well. So also that question is just to give you a bit of a heads up about some of the learning theories and frameworks that are out there that might interest you. And then sort of trying to apply that to people's own practice. What's your own personal philosophy of teaching and learning? And there's a whole lot of answers here. Teach well, short on time to answer that one. And where would you place your teaching approach on a continuum? Well, most people go towards andragogy, which is adult teaching. Pedagogy, really, if you look at the Greek, is teaching children. But actually, if you look at kindergartens and the learning theories that behind kindergartens, they're very much actually around self-directed and problem-based learning. They're not actually what we would call pedagogy, which is teacher-centric. My wife's a kindergarten teacher, and it's all about asking you know, the kids at kindergarten, what do they want to learn about, and facilitating them doing projects around what is a dinosaur. You know, how about we build a dinosaur out of boxes or whatever. It's very much problem based. It's a lot of it's socially constructed, etc. And so that's a little bit of a misnomer, I think. And then pedagogy, which if you haven't heard of pedagogy before, is basically self-determined learning. And I know there's a few people in the class like Paula who are really interested in self-directed learning. Pedagogy is kind of like a slight step on beyond self-determined, which is talking about negotiating learning outcomes, getting students really involved in the whole design of the learning process. So that was the survey from this week. Hopefully it got you thinking. Any questions or feedback on that survey?
Did you post the link to the results that we can have a look at anywhere, Thomas?
Yeah, so under the announcements.
Oh,
So I have a summary of week 1 and 2.
Uh-huh.
And then you'll see underneath that, there's the link to the survey.
Thanks.
And yes, I was thinking there's a lot of stuff that we're doing and covering. How do you find it all? Well, I'm trying to kind of centralize this under the ecology of resources. So if you go to modules, under the welcome, you'll see there's a ecology of resources page there. And this is trying to bring everything together via the tool, how to download it, why we're using it, just very, very briefly in a couple of words, and then links to what we've done. And I'll kind of update this as we go. So we're kind of down to about Mendeley at this point. Next week, we'll have a look at ResearchGate. Does that answer your question? Hopefully. Okay. Right. So just another quick overview. If we go to Twitter and what's happening on Twitter, if I just refresh this page. I showed you this last week, but this is Tags Explorer, which is a way of analyzing Twitter conversations. As you can see at the moment, it's still predominantly me. I'm suspecting Twitter's new to most of you. Paula has been doing a little bit of activity on Twitter. So I'm picking on Paula here, but just because she's been active. And then Jeanette, etc. So for me, it gives me a quick way of analyzing who's doing what and why. And as I said before, we can do things like see who's the top conversationalist and the top tweeter, which doesn't necessarily have to be the same, because the conversation is about creating interaction between posts, and Twitterers. Top tweeters can be just in broadcast mode. So I think we've kind of done our summary. Encourage people to sign up for the map and the overview of where we're going for this week. So any questions? Oh, of course, assignment 1, first part is due this week. Just jump back to assignments. So you'll see your first assignment is basically 4 ePortfolio posts and comments on other people's posts. So I've broken those up into assignment 1, ePortfolio post 1, ePortfolio comment 1. And basically, these are web links. So you decide, okay, I've done this fantastic post and I'd like to nominate that for my assignment 1 ePortfolio post. Click on that, the way to submit it. There's the marking rubric on how you'll be marked on those. If you submit, click on the submit assignment. It's just a web link, the URL to your post on your blog. And the same for the comment. The comment is just a link to the comment that you've made on someone else's ePortfolio. So that's due by this Friday. Questions?
I have a question, not about the assignment, but about the Flipboard.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to, so if I flip something into the Flipboard, can I remove it later? Like if I make a mistake or I change my mind, can I remove it?
Yes, I think there should be if you go to any of these, yes, there's a remove or a delete.
Okay, yeah.
I couldn't find it.
Okay, that may be because I'm the owner of it.
Yeah, I suspect you're the only one who can do it. It wasn't obvious to me.
So if you don't have a delete or remove option, and you've accidentally done something, just email and ask me to remove it for you.
Yeah, I just don't understand why some people have a blank image. Some people will have nice image on the. Yeah, you see, like Patanamon has her photos there.
Yeah, this is completely dependent on the photos that you have on the page that you're flipping into this magazine. So if you're posting into here a post that's completely text with no images or videos on it, then it'll just be text based. It's dependent on what images are on that page, and yeah, it's a little bit sort of curious. Sometimes it flips stuff well, and other times not. So
yeah,
I'm not quite sure why.
Yeah, it depends on the page itself. And so I had, as I think I was discussing with Thomas during the week, if you flip from your bio page, it seems to pick up your picture. Whereas if you flip from the home page, even if you put your own picture there, it doesn't pick it up. And I couldn't find any way around that. So
yeah, so I think it's just a little bit of experimenting and flipping to get the result that you're after. But as I said, if it's not working for you, don't worry. Go into your profile. Click on the, if it's your own profile, you click on your own account. But if you're finding other people's, just add your link to your WordPress site and your Canvas profile. So let me pick on someone else. Say Sam. So Sam hasn't done it yet. So under your links, Sam, if you could put a link to your WordPress site, because I know you've done it and it's in Flipboard, but if you could also put it into your Canvas profile, just makes it easier for us all to find them in case Flipboard's not working for us. Let's find someone else. I think Leah has made a link to her WordPress site there, and if I click on it, it will open. and I can go through and read her posts and make comments. So as we discussed last week, you want to make sure that comments are turned on as part of your settings for your portfolio. If you turn that off, then people won't be able to comment. So make sure that you have turned on comments on your WordPress blog. And by default, they would be moderated. In other words, when someone comments, you'll get an email as the owner of that blog saying, Tom Cochran has posted a comment on your blog. Then you get to check it to make sure it's not spam. And then basically it gets published on your site so that people can read it. Okay, and that's just basically to stop spam.
Did you have other stuff you wanted to talk about?
Okay, so obviously you need to be posting.
Yeah, so we better get on and write some blog posts so that other people can comment on them. Otherwise, Paula's going to get 19 comments.
Exactly. Paula might be incredibly popular. Although I've got to say there are some other really good blog posts shaping up. Seeing as how I've probably read them all. So don't just pick on Paula's. Probably any of these ones that have a face on them are good candidates to find something to post on. Except for Sam, because he hasn't put his one there. But Sam has flipped it into Flipboard. Okay. So there we go. There's the overview of this week. I'm going to stop screen sharing. Any other comments, thoughts, questions? Okay, well, thank you everyone for your time. And as I say, in 2 weeks' time, it'll be a whole lot less of me talking and a whole lot more of you talking on your learning theories, and then the week after, learning frameworks. So looking forward to that. So have a good week. I'll catch you on Twitter. I'll catch you on the discussion forums. Happy to feedback. Just need to email me, tweet me, etc. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tom.
Bye-bye.